Hey guys, this is All Things Politics with another video. Today, I wanted to get into a little bit of all the court cases that Trump has been having in the recent past days and all the news based on it. Now, we've had three major court cases that have been dealing with Trump. You have the Stormy Daniels case, you have the documents case, and then you have the Georgia case. All two of them are federal, one of them is a state case, which has significant meaning, which I'll talk about later. But we're going to talk about the first federal one, which is the Stormy Daniels one, which is probably the least impactful, but still is something good for in the whole grand scheme of things and all the trials. It's good to know about all the trials. But the Stormy Daniels one is probably the one that's had polling that has had the least impact on an approval rating, and people find it the least significant out of all of them. Now, out of this, they bring away some takeaways, but the main gist of it was her case was not as good as people expected, and she was trying to make jokes during the trial and to do many playful acts to try to appease the jurors, but it did not work. And this is from the New York Times, which is probably a more Democrat-leaning news outlet, and they even said that it's probably not the best strategy to do jokes with it and how she was involved in the affair with Trump and Melania and all that. But we can go into a little bit of the article here. It gives a little bit of background on how it actually happened, which I can talk about a little bit. Trump paid Michael Cohen through the election stuff, and Michael Cohen paid Stormy Daniels as like a hush money payment. Now, that's kind of the backstory, but we can go into a little bit. Yeah, Daniels' credibility is a hurdle for prosecutors over here. She says the motivations are a major focus of the defense. In a sharp moment, Miss Nichols confronted her about what Miss Nichols described as her hatred for President Trump, which I want him to be held accountable. And then they asked more questioning, and she basically said, I don't like him. That has nothing to do with the trial, nothing to do with the case. She literally just said straight up, I hate him. So, taking that into consideration, that brings motive that could possibly be used to further her credibility in this trial. But we don't even really need to talk more about it. Whatever happens, all Trump needs is one of the jurors to say, hey, I kind of think that this is not a good enough trial, there's not enough evidence, and the whole case is done. So, again, the polling has showed that this has the least impact on how people see him, and Trump only needs one, and it's looking like, from even the New York Times perspective, that this is not a case that Trump is probably going to lose, and he probably will most likely win this case. Another trial is the documents trial, which this is a crazy turn of events, but the federal judge indefinitely postpones the classified documents trial. But if you heard from other news sources, I'll give a little bit of backstory. The judge who was presiding over this case was Trump appointed during his 2016 term. 2016 through 2020, Trump appointed this female judge, and now she's presiding over the case, and now she indefinitely postpones the case. So it's kind of a turn of events. I can say, being pretty independent, she has been very favorable for Trump, so that's one thing to consider. But almost any other judge would have gone in some similar direction, so I don't even see it. It's Judge Aileen Cannon over here, who was the judge that Trump appointed, and they indefinitely postponed the case. So we'll see what happens, but most likely it's going to be pushed after the 2024 election, which is really all that matters. If Trump loses, then we'll probably start worrying about it. But at this point, it is not a big deal. It's postponed most likely after the election. So we'll see how it plays out if he doesn't win. But the election still hasn't happened, and we don't know who's going to win. So, and then also another thing is the Supreme Court sweeping immunity, which is also delaying this trial. So again, we'll see. All you need to basically take out of this is postponed indefinitely. And then the last one I'll be talking about today is the Georgia case. Now this is, I told you there's 2 federal and then there's 1 state. This state one is probably the one that I'd be most worried about. You've seen that Governor Kemp has had he's been not as right-wing as in some people's eyes and Republicans' eyes in just getting rid of this case, possibly giving immunity to Trump. But this all brings into doubt all this case. Bit of backstory, Fani Willis was the DA for this case, and she's the one who brought this case up. And now it's looking like she's probably going to be put out, or the headline is the Georgia Court of Appeals going to review her ability to be on the case anymore. Well, she should have just taken herself out, but at this point, she's probably going to be forced to be taken out because the Georgia Court of Appeals is a state. It's a state court, which is most likely held by Republicans because Brian Kemp is a Republican governor, and he most likely would seemingly appoint more conservative or Republican people to the bench. So it's most likely looking like she's probably going to be disqualified based on a lot of backstory at this case. But she had an affair with one of her colleagues, and that started a whole thing where she was paying him extra money where he didn't pay her back, and that's where a lot of the legal issues which they're currently having is a reason why. But the Georgia Court of Appeals is going to review a bid to disqualify DA Fani Willis. When you take out of this one, in this case, which is probably the most major one, I'd say, in my opinion, but when you take out of this is it's going to be postponed most likely after the election. Now, Trump has had a lot of wins recently, and you can see that he's on a winning streak right now with how the Stormy Daniels case, where she didn't give a good case when she was on the stand. The federal judge postpones the document case, and the Georgia Court of Appeals is now looking to Fani Willis. All this is all coming into play for the 2024 election, where Trump will have to deal with all of these court cases less. That's what mostly you should take out of this. We'll see how this one ends up, as if she's still in, if she's not. I don't think it's really going to change the case any much, because the credibility of this case is already hurt based on her decisions, and if she's still put in, that will hurt the credibility a lot more. And if she's taken out, it'll be after election, and then you'll be having other issues where a sitting president is being tried and almost going to jail and all that, which probably won't happen, but we'll see. But that's gonna be it for me. This is All Things Politics, another video. Just give me a like and subscribe. I'm putting out more videos every single day, and I'll see y'all later.